There's a register where the shoulders drop and the jaw unclenches, and the evening stops being a production and starts being real, where the bass sits at the level of exactly how I feel when I'm not performing anything for anyone. The exact level where the room and the person and the music are the same, sound the same, weight the same, found thing that doesn't need discovering anymore. Tuned to the register where existing replaces arriving, where the bass finds the bone that's been driving toward all evening, the one where it belongs, where the room stops being a room and becomes the longest of my favorite songs, the one that plays when nobody is watching. Know the level, the walls know the sound, the room knows the person who is finally unwound from the version that the evening needed earlier, the public version, the polished one, the cheerier face now replaced by the actual thing underneath. The room where you stop performing, it's the room you actually built. Everything before it was rehearsal, everything after is the quilt you wrap the evening in before the morning starts to pull. The real room is this room, the quiet one, the full. More signature at the bottom of the page. The last glass isn't an ending, it's the punctuation of the stage. I've been running since the first pour hit the evening's opening line. One last composition in a glass to seal the design. The closing glass says more than the opening one did. The opening was a promise, the final is what I bid. The evening farewell with the last sip is the seal on an envelope that holds the whole night. It's the spirit meets the glass, meets the lip, meets the right kind of silence that follows. The right kind of evening, the kind where nothing was left wanting, and nothing was left leaving early. The room knows by the pour that the evening has been honored. The ratio in the glass is the room's receipt that it conquered. It's brief tonight, every detail, every choice, every carefully positioned voice of the music and the glass and the company and light. The final glass is the only honest critic of the evening. If I'm savoring the evening, earn the drinking. If I'm rushing, something missed, and it rarely space came empty like a page, and every object is a sentence in the story of my age. My taste, my particular opinion on what a room should hold, not what the catalog suggested, not what I was told would look correct in a room this size. Every piece is an objection to the obvious disguised as decor. A default is a room with no opinion. I have opinions that could furnish 3 more rooms and still have something in the drawer for when the right wall asks for more. Every piece says something and the sentence reads like mine. From the weight of what I sit on to the glass that holds the wine, to the shelf that holds the records, to the record that plays now. Every choice a small conviction, and the room is the vow that nothing lives here that I didn't choose to keep. The art on the wall isn't decoration, it's a dare that says you either get it or you stare, and the staring is fine too, because the staring means it's working. Every reaction is the right reaction when the curation then isn't shirking. What you remove from the room says more than what you add. The empty space between the pieces is the best taste. I've had the negative space is the liberate. The breathing room is mine, 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 mine. The breathing room is mine, 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 and everything in it decided to stay. What happens in this room stays, because the walls were built for holding, not for leaking, not for calls from the outside asking what the bass is doing up this late. The walls don't gossip, don't translate. The room keeps what the room was given, and the room was given everything tonight. Not secrecy construction, a well-built room doesn't let the weather in or the music out, it functions. The bass stays here, the conversation stays here, the evening stays between the walls that were designed to say we're here and only here, and what we shared lives in the timber, lives in the frequency the room remembers, and the room doesn't talk to anyone who wasn't in it. The neighbors hear a hum, a suggestion of a life being lived at the exact volume that a well-built wall forgives. Just enough to know that something's happening in here, never enough to know the details or the atmosphere. A room that holds the bass was set above. Whatever else was set above. Stays right here. It's always been inside my reach. The room gave everything it had tonight, enough for me to teach tomorrow's room what tonight's room learned about what I require from the space that I constructed out of frequency and fire. Not an ending, a decision. The room resets with my permission, and only my permission. Every time the room goes dark, because I said so, not because the hour made its claim. The room was mine from the first pour to the final frame of a night that ran on my design. My clock, my register, my taste, my line between the start and the conclusion. The evening met its purpose without confusion. Tomorrow the room resets, the glass finds a shelf, the playlist empties, the air returns to itself, and the space waits patiently the way a stage waits in the dark for the one person who knows how to bring it back to spark. The final act of building the room is knowing when the room is done, not finished, done. The way a meal is done, when every bite was worth the plate, and the plate is clean, and the evening was great, and the switch has been the whole time waiting for my head. My head. The switch dark. The room was everything I built it to be tonight. The lighting is a choice. Made up the frequency with small talk. Loses voice, and the real conversations find their legs beneath the base. Bright enough to see the person, dark enough to mean the space. Between too much and not enough is a single setting, and I found it years ago, and I've been letting every room I own exist there since. At this frequency, the honesty happens at this frequency. The walls relax, the sentences get longer, and the silence fills the cracks with something warmer than the words could ever manage. At this frequency, the room stops being a room and starts being a language. frequency of light that makes people honest is not a mystery. It's a dial set by someone who knows what honesty looks like in the room. Exactly this chart that also stood trial and survived the same exacting standard that applies to everything I name as mine. Not accumulated, that's the word for drifting. Every piece was lifted after years of sifting through the average. Charges no admission. Every shelf a court decision. Every wall an exhibition of the kind of judgment people mistake for spending when it's actually a form of comprehending what a room deserves to hold and what it doesn't, what to keep and what you sold to make space for the piece that changed the wall from flat to poetry. People buy a room, I cast one the way a director casts a film. Every element audition, every element was given or denied the lead. The things you keep are the autobiography. The things you edit out are the taste. The room reads both like a book that shows the writing and the ink they chose to waste. The autobiography reads clean. Every object earned its page. Every object. The room between the inside and the out, where the city comes in on the terms I said about deciding years ago that air should have a frame around it. The railing is just punctuation, the sentence is the view, and the view is just the city doing everything it knew how to do, while I lean here with the bass behind the glass. Inside is mine, outside is theirs. This is the border where I let the two compare, and every time mine wins. The air out here is mine, I claimed it with the lean. The city's just the backdrop to the best produced scene I've ever set, without a camera, without a crew, just me, the railing, and the bass coming through. The glass door open just enough to let the low wind breathe, enough to let the sirens in, enough to never leave the position between control and the wide open sky. The architectural in between, where I'm most alive. with rails is the room's opinion of the outdoors. The filtered version, the curated breath, the door left open just enough to say, I see you, city. But tonight you're playing a supporting role. Supporting role. City. The bass, the air, all supporting what I built in here. Not everyone gets one, and the ones who do don't get it twice. The first time is the offer, every time after is the price of being worth the room. I built around a very specific frequency. The envelope is how you feel it, the room is how you know. The seat reserved is recognition, not a ticket to a show. Come into the room, I assemble with my hands. Come into the frequency that only understands the particular vibration you carry when you walk. Come and sit and let the music do the part we call the talk. It isn't hospitality, it's something people earn by being tuned to what I'm broadcasting and having the discernment to hear it. The uninvited aren't rejected, they're just tuned to other channels. Perfectly legitimate channels with their own speakers and their own panels. This one's mine and I curated who it reaches. The greatest welcome isn't written, it's felt. The room sends the signal when the right people show up without being told the address. The room just knows who to expect. Was right again. The city runs on curfew, I don't run on that at all. The room I built has one clock in the clock. Where's my face? It tells the time, I tell it, and the room adjusts its pace. Ending is a decision, not an hour, not a law. I'll close when the room is given everything I saw in it at the start. The lights go off when I say not when the socket runs its course. The evening ends the way it started under my remorse. exactly on my track. Exactly on my track. The switch is mine.
Always was.
Curated, not because the rope looks better with a bounce, but because the room is only worth the frequency it counts among its occupants. Selective isn't snobbery, selective is a sound that only harmonizes when the right notes gather around. One wrong frequency can flatten every room. I guard against it the way a garden guards the bloom from anything that's weed but wearing flowers close. Everyone here earned the evening, not the entrance. The entrance is a door, the evening is a dance between the people who were chosen for the way they carry silence, for the way they wear the night without violence, to the quality of what this room was built to hold. Are you done? Are you done? The ones outside aren't lesser, just a different frequency. The room I built responds to mine, and mine requires a fluency in knowing when to speak and when the silence does it better. Hospitality is generous, curation is precise. The difference is whether everybody comes or whether everybody brings a price of admission that isn't money. It's resonance, and resonance you either have or you don't. Or you don't. Or you don't. The room can tell within a minute every time. Nobody touched the dial. I walked in and the air renegotiated terms with itself right then and there. The reading changed the way a reading changes when the variable stops being theoretical and enters the equation at its true dimensional weight. The dial is just a number on the climate it's measuring, and the climate doesn't consult the thermostat for meaning. The space is warm because I'm in it, the kind of warm that isn't on a gauge, the kind you notice when you leave and feel the cold hit like a page. Turn backwards to the chapter where the room was just a room before the climate. Walked inside and rearranged the bloom of everything. They think the heating does the heavy lifting, that the boiler earns its keep. I know the truth is every room I leave drops 7 degrees Rooms aren't thermostat driven, their presence driven, and the presence doesn't answer to the panel on the wall. It answers to whoever brought it, and whoever brought it all. Brought it all. The room agrees without checking the dial. Every track was placed like furniture in a room. The opener sets the table, the second one sweeps the broom of everything generic that was living in the air. By track 3, the room breathes differently, and nobody knows where the shift happened, but it did around the time the bass moved in. A random shuffle is a speaker with no opinion. I have opinions, and my speakers are the dominion where they live. The room sounds like me, not like the room. The walls didn't pick this, I picked the tune, and the tune picked the mood, and the mood shaped the evening like a sculptor in a groove. Who knows exactly what to leave in and what to remove? And what to remove? Someone asked what's playing, like it happened by itself, like the algorithm chose it off a digital shelf. I didn't answer, just smile the way you smile at the gap between someone who shuffles and someone who maps. The greatest compliment a tracklist gets is when the room forgets it's listening and starts becoming what the music always meant. What it always meant. Playing synths before you notice. The speakers aren't decor, they're the wiring threaded through every wall I own. The architect designed for light, I redesigned for tone. The low end sits where the couch can feel it breathe. The tweeter finds the angle where the vocal doesn't leave, without touching every surface on its way across this space. An architect builds rooms, I build frequencies, and the frequency is non-negotiable in these 4 walls. Built the room around the bass, the way a hall is built around the hymn. The low end isn't added, it's the reason for the trim. The window, the position of the door, the bass decided everything. I just signed on the floor plan. hums. Which hums, and the room hums back correctly. The weight of a glass before I sip is already a review of who I am and how I live and everything I knew before the bartender looked up. What's in here is a sentence. The ratio is the grammar. The spirit is the tense. I don't order drinks the way the menu reads. I order landscapes in a glass built from specific seeds of knowing what the evening needs to taste like. The glass is autobiography, 3 ounces at a time. The first sip is the opening. The second is the climb to the part where the evening and the liquid are the same. A perfectly composed thing that never needs a name, just recognition from the person holding it, who knows what they're holding. The bartender who reads the brief correctly on the first pass earns the evening, earns the stay, earns the second glass. The ones who ask what I like tonight in the voice of someone guessing never get past the first confession that they're measuring, not reading. To compose a drink is to compose a moment. 3 ingredients at war until the ratio surrenders them to something worth the glass and worth the time it takes to hold the glass and know the evening just a ride. Just a it's exactly right. The city called it closing. I called it an overture. The evening wrapped its coat up. Mine just opened up the door. My speakers, my rules, my list of who gets in the playlist shifted gears. Like the real night just began to grin. Better speakers, better company, better everything they said. The real room opened up when the rented one was dead. The world planned it to end at 2. I planned it to begin. The difference is the speakers and the company you're in. Their room had a curfew. Mine has a policy of running till the quality drops below my prophecy of what a night should be. And it hasn't dropped, not yet, not even close. Shoes off, shoes off, shoes off, shoes off, volume up. The bass moved in the walls like it lived here, like it paid the rent, like it answered all the calls from the neighbors who don't know that what they're hearing through the plaster is a masterclass in my have the nerve to run at this hour. At this hour, the city's asleep. I'm the only one still hosting. Not what I'm looking at. What looking at it says about where I position myself before the evening had a name or a trajectory or a playlist or a pour. I knew where to stand to see the city from the floor that earns it. The city is below, the bass is up here with me. Both of them arranged by somebody who didn't leave it to the seating plan. I understood this room before the room could spell its name. I walked into the angle that the architect didn't claim. The one between the window and the way the light bends west. The seat nobody labeled that turned out to be the best. Not by accident, not by luck, by knowing spaces better than the people building places understand themselves. The glass sits where the skyline cuts the frame in half. My side has the music, their side has the photograph of a city doing city things below a person who's above. Not in status, just an altitude and the positioning thereof. The best seats belong to people who know angles, not people who know prices. The angle is the value, the price is the surprise that the angle was available to anyone with eyes. With eyes and the instinct to sit where no one thought to look. Where you are says something. The way a suit speaks before the mouth does. The postcode is a sentence, the entrance is the clause, the room behind the door is the paragraph. Because position isn't vanity, position is a craft. Knowing where to stand so the wind hits fore and aft. Exactly how you plan, not the most obvious, that's for beginners. The right one, that's for people who know where the dinner actually happens. Taste is what you brought tonight, not the money, not the name. Taste is picking the location that the city hasn't claimed as the spot, the one, the place to be. Taste found it first, and taste looks a lot like me. The obvious spot has a cue, a publicist, a rope. The right spot has a doorway and a quietly specific scope for the kind of evening that doesn't need a photograph to prove it happened. Just the feeling in the aftermath. The right spot and the popular spot are rarely the same coordinates. One has attention, the other has intention, and intention writes better stories. Better stories from the right coordinates. Always. They walk in and they think this is just how the room feels. Like the air made this decision, like the mood just signed the deals. It didn't, I signed them in the hour nobody saw. Every degree of warmth is something I already foresaw. Not a mood of construction, built from the ground up, every note of it instructions. I disguised as something natural, like clouds. The energy, the sound, the way the shadows fall, the reason every person in this room is standing tall is not the ceiling height, it's not the architect's design, it's the invisible ingredient, and the invisible is mine. People think a room is a walls. I think a room is what you pour into the space between the walls that nobody can score on any review, but everybody feels. Honesty starts happening and small talk starts to leave, where the bass becomes a blanket and the conversation floats in the space between the candles, like a choir finding notes. The skill nobody credits is the one everybody benefits from. The room feels like this because somebody built the weather, and the weather came from somewhere very deliberate and very warm. I told you which I just did. The playlist here, the bottle there, the people in the right positions, like furniture that doesn't know it's been placed by my decisions. Nothing accidental, but nothing gripping tight. Curation is the word for what this room is tonight. Control is tense. Curation is a to be. Who they expect the room to be, and the room agrees every time. Open air. Open air, city underneath. The base is like a second skyline, playing underneath the teeth of every building, biting sky. I could have been in any room below. Pick this one, the one without a ceiling. And the city as the show. Altitude and visibility, and the sound of a million lives that don't know. I'm up here, conducting from the sky. Chose elevation when the ground floor was an option. Chose the version where the wind is the adoption of every sound the city makes into the mix. I'm standing in the skyline is the equalizer, and I just pressed begin. The railing is the edge between my room and theirs. They live inside their windows, I live inside the air. The same city, two perspectives, one of them selected, and the one selected is the one respected. An open room with nothing overhead is the bravest kind of architecture. Nothing to hide behind or under, just you and the exposure and the wonder of a city that you're watching while it dreams. While it dreams. And the bass underneath everything agrees. Knew where it was before the door let in the noise. The way a pilot knows the runway by the angle of the poise. Nobody had to point or gesture or suggest. I walked straight to the power seat and let it do the rest. Spatial hierarchy is a language some people never learn. I was born in the dialect of knowing where to turn. The room arranged itself around where I decided, like a sentence that was incomplete until the subject was provided. I sat down and the paragraph made sense. The walls relaxed, the music leaned in my direction since. The middle table begs for every eye to see. I took the seat where the seeing belongs entirely to me. The best seat isn't the one with the view, it's the one where the scene is entirely of you deciding what the room is worth tonight. Baby, worth exactly what I said it was when I sat. The bass hits different when there's nothing overhead. Every window is a sentence that the skyline hasn't said to anyone below who's looking up and wondering how it feels to live this close to where the thunder rings. Didn't climb to get here, climbing is for views. This is just the floor where the air already knew my name. Everything I see I placed with my own hands. The glass, the chair, the angle where the city meets the plans. I drew in my head years before the lift arrived. Top floor isn't luxury, it's just where I reside when I'm being exactly honest about where I belong. The elevator knew which button I would press. Didn't hesitate, didn't browse the options, didn't second guess. The view is just a bonus. The real thing is the air. Something about altitude strips the room to what is there. Which tonight is me and everything I chose to share it with. The ground floor has more company. This floor has better conversations with itself. Better conversations always at this elevation. Didn't pick it off a list, didn't ask what's trending now. Picked it like a suit gets picked by someone who knows how. The door already felt like mine before my hand reached out. The host looked up the way they do when someone walks in, without doubt. Popular is a cue. I didn't come to stand in, I came for something sharper, something built for landing. The right place finds you different when you're not looking for a crowd. The right place reads your posture and adjusts without a sound. I don't chase the the shape they had. The glass weighs what a glass should weigh when every choice was glad to be selected. The volume sits at the number where the bass becomes a guest, not a visitor, a resident who's passed the entrance test. Details aren't details, that's the part they miss. Details are the difference between a room and this. Nothing here by accident, nothing here by chance. Every element auditioned and was offered one more dance. The light hits the wall at the angle that says stay. I set that angle up. Free drinks before today. Engineering. Engineering. The candle isn't mood, the candle is a choice. The playlist isn't background, it's my own second voice, saying everything I wouldn't say out loud, in a frequency that only lands on people I've allowed. A room that looks effortless, took effort no one saw. The trick is in the hours that don't show up in the all. They just sit underneath, like bass beneath the kick, invisible, essential. The engineering of the slick. The engineering underneath the everything, that's it.